Hey guys, welcome to the Ginger Sage. I'm so excited. Today we've got Shania with us, and we are going to be talking about immunity. And I don't know if you guys know Shania, but Shania is like the bomb at formulating. She's a holistic health practitioner. She's got a degrees in nutrition and herbalism, and she's been formulating for years. In fact, I met her because I had a problem that she was able to formulate for me and completely changed my life overnight. So I am a firm believer in herbs now and supplementation. I can just testify that it works. And you can learn more about our stories on our website. But today we're going to be talking about immunity, and not just for cold and flu season, but for all year long. I don't know anything really about immunity. I just know I don't want to get sick. I don't like being sick. So what is immunity? Tell me more. How pretend I know nothing because I pretty much don't.
Wow. Well, that's such a great question. So, immunity has gotten a lot of press, especially over the last 4 years, because everybody just wants to stay healthy, especially when it comes to respiratory infections. And the immune system is so much more complicated than just a pathogen and an antibody. And that's why it's so fascinating. I love educating about the immune system and different organs that would be surprisingly part of the immune response and the immune system, but we wouldn't even think that they're part of the immune system.
Organs are part of the immune system?
Well, I mean, yes.
Like, which organs? I'm pretty much the heart's an organ, the stomach's an organ, the skin's an organ.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, the skin is part of the immune system. That's a part of the barrier system
Okay.
because before anything enters our body, we have different barriers like the skin, the mucus,
Mm.
saliva, mucus, nose hairs. Even I would even consider hydrochloric acid in the stomach as, part of the immune system. And of course, more specifically today, we are going to talk about the liver, the gut, the adrenal glands, and the mitochondria,
No.
and how these systems and organelles, which
Mhm.
is like what the mitochondria is, actually play a role in immunity. And then I'm excited to go over specific herbs and supplements that you can take if you think you're getting sick, specifically what to take during the cold and flu season.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so let's even back it up. Are we all born with an innate immunity, or some people have compromised immunity? I know I rarely get sick, but I have a sister who's always sick. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have an innate immune system, which is what we're born with. We also have an acquired immune system. If we weren't born with innate immunity, I'm sure babies wouldn't even make it.
Mm.
Um, but what's really cool is the adaptive or acquired immunity is like the learned immunity. And part of that is actually when you're born. It happens when you're born and you're bathed in your mother's microbiome. That actually helps develop the acquired immune system.
How are you bathed in your mother's microbiome? That sounds. I've never heard that in my life.
Well, I guess not all babies, because if you're born by cesarean section, then you bypass that. But going through the vaginal canal, because, our bodies are more microorganisms than human cells. So we've got microorganisms in every single tissue, organ, even the breast tissue. So it's really interesting because some cancers in the breast, they find that there's an imbalance in the microbiome in the breast. So there'll be more of a pathogenic bacteria
Mm.
present versus some of the really synergistic, positive bacteria. And that's what they're finding in breast cancer, which is so interesting. It's fascinating. And um, so basically, as you're going through the vaginal canal, you're
Yeah.
being bathed in your mother's
So if I was
microbiome.
C-sectioned, I do not have that blessing
If
of
it's
the birth of the my.
the microbiome,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
You just might have a lower immune system throughout your life. You just
Mhm.
might have to work harder. And I'm not saying you can't rebuild it. Um, my son, for instance, I had him when I was really young, and he ended up being an emergency C-section.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is this how
yeah.
you learned this? Does he get sicker more?
He has to work harder.
Okay.
Definitely. He's always had to work harder than the other 2. The girls were born vaginally, totally natural, and
Well, this is
yeah.
so fascinating because I have friends that will schedule a C-section for convenience. I think if they had known that there's this long-term maybe implication on the health of their child, that they would not have chosen an elective C-section.
Yeah, totally, and the
Wow.
health of them as well, because going through any type of surgery is really hard on the adrenal glands,
Yeah, I never
and
thought of it as a surgery. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? But you're right. There's a
yeah,
recovery period. They're
there is
cutting you
definitely
open.
yeah, they're cutting you open, you have to have, some kind of a spinal block usually, so that's anesthetic, and that is really harmful on your adrenal glands, especially if you've had multiple surgeries and if you think about that and then the stress of having a new baby and just kind of like the hormone imbalances and
Mhm.
that can, especially if your system is a little weaker, it can be really hard on your system. So
This is super fascinating. Okay, I can tell I'm going to learn so much in this class. Okay, so innate, we're birthed in the microbiome through the vaginal canal. If that doesn't happen, we're going to definitely need your help.
well, definitely. And then also, I wanted to mention one other
Yeah.
thing. Playing in the dirt.
Oh, playing in the dirt.
Playing in the dirt. You think about the kids, it's called the hygiene theory. And the kids that grew up in the antiseptic, extra clean houses actually have poor immune response than
Oh, my kids will be fine
those
then.
kids. Oh my gosh. And I read something, Joel Salatin, he's a very famous permaculture guy. He owns some amazing cattle farms in Virginia.
Okay.
He said he never ever gets sick because what he did every morning was he would stick his head in the water, in the cow's water.
Wow.
So he's exposing himself to so
So
many
many.
different
This
microorganisms.
is true. I believe
Yeah,
this 100%. I'm at the airport. You saw me last night. I'll stretch on the floor. I like pretty much, and I do handstands everywhere. And I really think I have a healthy immune system versus like
totally.
people are washing all the time, hand sanitizing all the time. And I'm like licking the airport floor.
I do that too. I will literally will put food on the floor
Yeah.
at anywhere. My daughter grew up dancing, and one of her dance friends was extremely afraid of germs. So she was just a germaphobe. And so my daughter used to like just kind of mess with her, and she'd drop things on the floor and she'd like pick it up, and her friend would be freaking out. And I guess the only thing I do think about sometimes when you're in a public space is, what type of chemicals might be on the floor. So it's
Probably
not
should.
about, yeah, it's not about the germs, the bacteria, but I would think about the chemicals. But I was going to say something else really interesting. So when you travel somewhere else, like let's say Costa Rica,
Okay.
my daughters and I spent about a year in Costa Rica, and your microbiome changes within 24 hours of going to a new environment.
Really? So
Yeah.
me being here in Florida,
Yeah.
my hair's
Yeah.
being affected. I can definitely tell with the humidity. Okay, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
And
it's
for
so
the
fascinating.
better, like because it's having to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, it could be I mean, there could be some, maybe healing reactions a
Mm.
little bit. Like, if you already have a little bit of dysbiosis in your gut and then you're exposed to
Wait,
even
time out. Dysbiosis. Did we all
so
understand what
okay.
that means?
So maybe just a dysregulation or an
Okay.
imbalance.
Okay.
When you're exposed to even good bacteria, like say probiotics,
Mhm.
sometimes it can cause a little bit of a healing reaction.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we saw that in the consult we just did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
having a little bit of stomach pain with getting her body back in balance.
Totally. Yeah. I used to consult at a pediatrician's office and I used to help parents to heal their kids who were maybe on the spectrum.
Mm.
And a lot of times they were plagued with heavy metals and yeast overgrowth and maybe some parasites.
Gotcha.
And when I would start them on probiotics and antifungals, some of the first reactions would be a little bit of bloating and a little bit of diarrhea. And I consider that as a healing reaction.
That's super cool
Yeah.
to know. Okay, well, I will make sure when you start, if you have any of those issues, it's a healing reaction. Okay, so you mentioned a couple times the gut and the microbiome. Like, tell me more about because that was one thing I learned from you. First off, was how much goes on in the gut. So I assume with immunity, it's similar.
Definitely. So 70% or even maybe more of our immune cells are located in our gut. So
Mhm.
that in itself is just fascinating. And these microbiomes microbes, like they regulate our immune system. There's actual antibodies that are formed by the microbes in the gut. They not only help us digest our food and create different vitamins, also the gut bacteria will create what's called short chain fatty acids, which are just byproducts of their metabolism that help with metabolic functioning and immune functioning and just overall health and energy and vitality. So, it's now said that up to 90% of all disease will start from the gut.
Okay, so our guts are not well. How do we know if our gut's well?
Well, I would say the problem now is processed foods and especially herbicides like glyphosate. They just disrupt our gut. Stress also disrupts our gut. So glyphosate, I don't know if you've ever heard of Roundup.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
kill weeds with it. I know I
No,
shouldn't be using
no.
it, right? I don't use it
Oh no.
anymore.
Okay, good.
I did use it,
Okay,
so yeah,
okay.
I have used it before.
Okay, yes. So don't use Roundup, don't use glyphosate. Glyphosate is what's known as a um broad spectrum or non-selective herbicide, so it'll
Mm.
basically kill anything that it's sprayed on. People will use it for their lawns to kill the dandelions, and it's funny because the dandelion is the only medicine you actually have in your lawn, so you shouldn't kill your dandelion.
That's so precious.
Um,
I actually have a neighbor, she moved here from Brazil, and she didn't understand why we were killing the dandelions. She thought they were so beautiful. In
yeah.
Utah, we kill them in our lawns. We don't want them in our lawns.
Oh, no, no, you can use any part of the dandelion, the flower, the leaf, the root,
We won't
really
be
good for
killing
the
those
liver.
anymore.
Okay, yeah, no more. So, the problem with glyphosate is it was patented as an antibiotic.
What?
It's actually an antibiotic.
The stuff
So,
that we're killing weeds with?
yeah,
It's
and
an
the stuff
antibiotic.
that farmers use to spray their crops, it is an antibiotic. So basically what that means is anytime you are exposed to it, anytime you're eating food that is contaminated with glyphosate, you are killing the microbiome. And I do think that that's why people have more anxiety, more depression, and more immune dysfunction and inflammation because the gut actually, the gut makes most of our serotonin and GABA and the neurotransmitters that keep us happy and calm. And I read a study about the increased rate of depression, anxiety, and even suicide along the Mississippi River where they were spraying the most glyphosate.
Wow.
And there's definitely a correlation. And so I would say avoid glyphosate whenever possible. And what does that mean? It's not.
That means, like, don't eat all my fruits and vegetables unless they're organic?
So, okay, here's the thing what you can do. I love the idea of shopping local, like your
Mm.
farmers markets, know your farmer, make
And you
sure
just
that,
ask them. You say, "You don't put
well,
Roundup on your garden, right?"
okay. It isn't actually called Roundup. It would just be called glyphosate when the farmers are spraying it. Roundup is the more, I think,
Ugh.
commercial product.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they might not always tell you.
I
So
know, that's
sometimes
what
you can
hurts.
go out to their farm, you can find out how their practices work, how they keep their soil healthy. Because if you keep your soil healthy, you really don't need to spray. And that's the thing. Glyphosate will kill everything in the soil.
Yeah.
All the microbes that are so important for the plant to even be able to uptake the vitamins and minerals. So that's why our plants are nutrient
So why
deficient.
are they spraying it? Just because of weeds?
Yeah. So what they do is it started with like GMO crops.
Mm.
So you could take let's say corn for instance, and it has a special gene in it that makes it resistant to Roundup or glyphosate.
Mm.
So you can spray as much glyphosate on that plant, the weeds will die, but the plant won't. Yeah.
That
So
doesn't
then,
sound good.
yeah. So then we're using more and more and more glyphosate. Certified organic products should never be using glyphosate. I do have to tell you that some protein powders and some supplements, especially if you're getting things like pea protein from China, they sometimes even certified organic pea protein will have glyphosate in it. And that's because the farmers will actually use glyphosate as a desiccating or drying
Mm.
agent after they harvest the crops. So I always say look for the glyphosate residue free badge on supplements.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's something I'm definitely gonna look for. I actually just try not to eat anything that comes in a package anymore because I just figure it's been processed somehow.
That's great. Totally great. But, if you do need to, for convenience, like you need to keep some protein powder in your car,
Yeah.
if you're, running on the go and you want to keep your blood sugar level stabilized, you can also go to the detoxproject.org. It
Okay.
will give you a list of all the companies that have glyphosate residue-free certified products. And we have to test products 3 times a year to make sure that
To keep
there's no
that. Yeah.
contamination. Yep.
What are we drinking?
Oh, we are just drinking a little bit of Tulsi peppermint tea, just a super simple blend. Tulsi, we're going to get into this a little bit because Tulsi, also called holy basil,
Mm.
it is an Ayurvedic herb. It's actually very holy in India, and everybody in India, as part of their religion, they have to plant it outside of their house.
Really?
Yeah, but it's an amazing adaptogen, just really
Smells good.
balancing herb, and
Mhm.
and
It actually
you don't
tastes
even
good.
like tea,
I've never,
so
yeah, I
yeah.
don't like tea, and I'm drinking this, and it does taste good. It's got like, I can taste the peppermint and I
Mhm.
can taste the basil, and it's actually really does feel soothing and calming. That's a good words for it. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very
Does it
soothing.
help with our immune system?
It does.
So that's probably why
It
we're
does.
drinking it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we're gonna get into well, I actually before we move on,
yeah.
because we are gonna talk about our adrenal glands and how our adrenal glands support immunity.
And
And
adrenals are in here.
our adrenals are little pea-sized organs above the kidneys.
And my kidneys are where?
Yeah, I mean,
In the
yeah,
back. That's right. You don't want
yep.
to get hit back
Yeah.
here. Okay, so our adrenals are back here. There's 2 of them.
There's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't pay attention in biology.
Yeah, my son actually is a pro skater, and he was doing a trick about he was, like, just going into, like, this 12-foot ditch, which
Just
is it
12 foot.
yeah, but that's not a big deal for him, and somebody was filming, and he wanted to do it really quickly because he was running late and his wheel was loose,
Mm.
and he's like, "Oh, I'll tighten it after." Well, during the middle of the trick, his wheel fell off. He belly flopped 12 feet. He came home after that, and he was like, "Mom, I feel like I can't breathe. It doesn't feel right." And he didn't wanna go to the hospital, and then, well, he went to the bathroom. This might be too much information, but blood just splattered everywhere,
I
and
would've
it
freaked
wasn't
out.
normal, like, urine. It was just so
Mm.
anyways, he had a hematoma on his kidneys, adrenal glands, and he had a grade 3 liver laceration. But I was really worried about his adrenal glands because I'm gonna get into that a little bit later, how important the adrenal glands are for survival. And
Yeah, I've heard a lot about adrenal fatigue, and I have friends that find out after all these years they've been so sick it was their adrenals, but I
yeah.
know literally nothing besides that it was the adrenals.
Yeah, so but before we go on, I just wanted to mention, back in the 1800s there was 2 scientists, and I'll start with Louis Pasteur, and he his theory, it's the germ theory. It's like everything is about the pathogen, and the pathogen is what's going to make you sick. So if
Mm,
you're exposed to the flu, or if, like anything, it's going to make you sick.
okay.
And he had some great political ties, and so his theory just is the theory that won out. Then there was another scientist named named Béchamp. Béchamp. I don't have the French.
Sure.
But yeah, probably say it better. And he used to say it is not about the pathogen; it is everything about the terrain.
Mm.
And this was back in the 1800s, and I'm like, that means the terrain. That's the microbiome. That's
That's
the
us
vitality of
and
your
us.
system. That's
Yeah.
us with
Okay.
all of the different other species that inhabit
That's
the
so
human
true.
body.
Yeah, because that's why someone in your house could be sick and you're surrounded and you're not getting it.
Totally. Yeah. And what's really interesting is during the Spanish flu in the 1900s, they tried everything to take the fluid, like the blood, the snot, the serum from sick people and inject them into healthy people. And they couldn't make the healthy people sick.
Oh,
And
cool.
that shows right there, there's more than just a certain pathogen.
Yeah. No, that's the Wim Hof. He does that. Like he gets injected with like E. coli and he doesn't even get sick.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Really
amazing.
amazing.
Wim Hof, yeah, that's,
He's got a really good
yeah,
microbiome.
yeah. I can't do what he does, it's way too cold.
Yeah, I know. Okay, we've been talking about the gut. How do we keep our gut healthy then so that we can, increase our immunity?
Yeah, so, okay, number 1 strategy, of course, is avoiding processed food, trying to eat certified organic, avoid pesticides and herbicides. A couple other things we can do is we can consume fermented food.
Fermented food?
Fermented food like,
Kimchi. I know
kimchi,
kimchi.
sauerkraut.
Kimchi's disgusting. right?
Well,
Is it
you know
acquired
what?
taste?
Yeah, I love sauerkraut. I'm not actually a huge fan of kimchi.
Okay.
But any type of fermented food is so good for you. You can make sauerkraut at home so easily. Literally, all you need is
Jealous.
is salt and organic cabbage.
We should put a recipe on the website
Yeah, it's
for
so
homemade
easy. It's a
sauerkraut.
little bit of like you have to use your strength a little bit, but it's absolutely amazing.
And then you just take a bite a day or you put it on a hot you don't
Yeah.
probably eat hot dog. I don't eat hot dogs either, but
I put it on everything, honestly.
like our salads last night, you
Yeah,
just throw
yeah.
some sauerkraut.
You could put kraut on your salads, on a wrap, on any
Okay.
type of meat. Yeah. So that's a really great way to nourish your microbiome and
We're putting
add to
that
your
on the
microbiome.
website because I'm gonna start
Definitely.
making it. Okay.
Yeah. So anything like polyphenols. Polyphenols would be specific antioxidants that you can get from different fruits like berries.
Mm.
For instance, they are known to help generate beneficial bacteria in the gut and postbiotics, which again, we talked about postbiotics as being the metabolism, the metabolites that are
Mm.
formed from the good bacteria in your gut. Other things you can do is just have a nutrient rich diet. Vitamin A is really, really good for the gut. And I'm not talking about beta carotene because beta carotene doesn't really convert well to vitamin A. We need real vitamin A from like pastured egg yolks, cod liver oil. Vitamin A is really important for the membranes of the gut and
Mhm.
really important for the immune system in general.
So those are the only ways to get vitamin A is cod liver oil and
No,
I'm like,
pastured.
"What?
No, no,
I
no.
haven't heard one thing I wanna eat yet." Let's see. But carrots don't
Pastured eggs.
a pastured
Pastured
egg. What's
eggs.
the difference
Egg
between an
yolk.
egg and an egg
A
and a pastured
pasture
egg?
raid. Yeah.
Okay.
So chickens that are caged and
Mm.
eating grain and not pastured have much lighter
The ones
yolks.
in
They're not as nutrient rich. They don't have the
We need our own
vitamins.
chickens. Do you have your own chickens?
I do, yeah.
Oh, goodness. We should have a class on that. I need to get my own chickens.
You do. Are you allowed to when you're done?
You
Yeah.
can, you just can't have a rooster.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, roosters will wake you up at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
anyway, so.
I know. We don't want a rooster waking me up at 4 a.m. Okay, I'm
Um,
gonna get pastured eggs.
yes, pastured eggs, beef liver. Beef liver is great for
Oh,
you.
right. Do you guys eat beef
Yeah.
liver?
You
I
can get capsules. You can
Okay.
there's great resource to get capsules, but just like, these nutrient dense foods that historically we've been eating all along and just maybe over the last 100 years we've stopped eating,
I've
like
heard
the
her talk
organs
about
and yeah.
ancestral diet, and we do have a course on nutrition that is really phenomenal about the ancestral diet.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
Mhm.
Okay, so another thing that you can do, let's say, let's talk about briefly about the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So, hydrochloric acid is super important for digestion, proper digestion, but also really important for immune system because certain pathogens will enter through your mouth. And if your hydrochloric acid levels are high enough, then those pathogens are going to die. So you hear about people with like H. pylori or certain bacterial infections in the stomach, which can cause ulcers and
Okay.
things like that. That's generally happening from low hydrochloric acid levels.
Gotcha.
Um, and hydrochloric acid levels are needed to properly break down proteins. But then it's not just that. When the contents of the stomach are emptied into the small intestine, there's signaling that takes place if the acid levels are high enough. So if
Hmm.
the acid levels from the stomach are high enough, then it's going to signal the gallbladder to release bile to help digest fats. It's going to signal the pancreatic enzymes and all the different digestive enzymes, so that you can properly digest your food. Um, you probably know somebody, or maybe you've had heartburn at some point in your life, and the doctor will maybe put you on an antacid to like
Mhm.
decrease your acid levels. And yeah, it might make you feel better at first, but it's not going to solve the problem because what happens if your hydrochloric acid levels are low is your stomach has to churn so much harder in order to process and digest the food.
Which reminds me, you have an incredible stack for heartburn.
Yes.
Look for that resource on our website. Grab that for heartburn. I had heartburn. I don't anymore. Thanks, Shania.
Yeah. Incredible stack. And there's other different ways that you can kind of nourish the microbiome and the stomach. Aloe vera juice, slippery elm, and
These are supplements or
these
just
are
something
herbs.
we
Yeah.
eat?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, either or. You can drink aloe vera juice, you can
Okay.
have an aloe plant and eat the inner fillet. Demulcent herbs, which would be like slippery elm and marshmallow root, they're really, really
I've heard of those.
soothing
Okay.
to the digestive tract. So we can get more into that in, especially in our heartburn class. But those are just certain things that can really nourish your gut.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the liver. When you said that, I was like, liver plays a role in immune support? Who knew?
Yeah, I mean, the liver is just probably 300 or more different functions that the liver does in our body. It's extremely important. Um, and we do think about the liver as like you went out drinking one night and the liver
Mhm.
has to detox. So yes, the liver does detox heavy metals and different toxins that are in our body, and the liver is also really important for cleaning the lymph, for removing extra hormones. So like extra estrogens that we might have in our body, the liver will help remove that. The liver will help remove cholesterol with with bile. The liver actually helps digest fats and proteins. The liver actually stores really important fat soluble vitamins for later use. The liver actually has phagocytic immune cells so that because the first place food goes after it leaves the digestive tract is to the liver.
Mm.
So there's like phagocytic immune cells that can just kill anything, just kind of like engulf anything that enters the liver that's not supposed to be there.
Did you guys
Um,
need a timeout on what vagocytic is? Because I'd never heard that word before. What's vagocytic? I
Well,
heard you use it
basically
twice.
meaning, yeah, so it's just gonna engulf, like, it's not like, an antibody,
Mm.
which, has a specific target on, an antigen or a protein,
Mm.
but it's actually just gonna engulf something that comes into the liver that's not
So
supposed to
that's
be in the
what
liver.
vagocytic means, to engulf?
Yes. Another thing the liver does is it creates tons of cofactors or enzymes that make all of the different metabolic functions in the body happen. Also, protein synthesis, super important, basically breaking down proteins into their component forms, which are amino acids, but then building them back up.
Hmm.
And these proteins will function in so many different components of the body, but also, immune cells, different immune cells and are made of proteins. So that is extremely important. Also, metabolic health and even just energy levels in general. So the liver also actually converts thyroid hormone, like the inactive thyroid hormone to the active thyroid hormone. So you can kind of see that if your liver
Right.
isn't super healthy and
Yeah.
working at like tip top capacity, you might be getting sick more
Really?
often.
I mean, a lot of things. Does the liver ever rest? Like, that's like the work. I mean, the heart, you always think the heart and the brain. And I'm like, the liver, I feel like, doesn't get the love and the attention that I never learned all this. You guys maybe all know, already know all
Yeah.
how important the liver is, but I was just thinking it was one of those things that just don't drink too much
Yeah,
alcohol.
totally. 100%. Yeah, the liver has it's always working. It's got these liver cells called hepatocytes that
Hmm.
are always working and performing all these beautiful functions because our body is so amazing. It
Yeah.
never ceases to amaze me what our body does and
Still.
how our different organs work synergistically, and it blows my mind. And
I kind of want to support my liver better. Like,
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
imagining in the immune supplement stack, you have a lot of things for liver if it plays such a large role.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Another thing, even if we're trying to live an organic life
Mm.
and, we're still exposed to toxins
Oh, yeah.
all over the place, like our air, even just being in a car with, especially a new car, that's toxins,
Mm.
paint, carpet, if you don't have an organic mattress,
Yeah.
which I mean, and I don't want to stress you out because there's nothing we can do about a lot of the toxins that we're exposed to. So I think the best thing to do is just daily liver support.
And that's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know that your yoga pants could be toxic. Good thing I don't wear them, but I know a lot of people
Yeah.
wear yoga pants.
That will be another class.
Another crap.
Toilet paper.
Oh my gosh.
Toilet
Yes. She
paper
sent
too.
me about
Yes.
toilet paper. I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually mind blowing. So,
Yeah. So, some of the ways that we can nourish and support our liver, I have a couple favorites. So we did talk about dandelion,
yeah,
those
I'm
wonderful
gonna like let
little,
that
yeah,
grow.
those little
Wait, do you
weeds.
literally just pick it and eat it?
Well, I mean, you can use the root. So what
Okay.
you do is pick it and you could use the root and decoct it. And so
Mm.
whenever you have a root, you can't just make tea out of it because a root needs to be cooked a little bit more to
Oh,
break down all the active constituents. So what you would do with the root is you would chop it up and then you would put it with some clean water and then do a light boil or simmer until the water goes down like by a third. And then you can drink that. So that could be your dandelion tea. You could
would you leave the dirt on it? Or walk me through this process. You pull out the weed and you wash it off, get
yeah,
the dirt off.
I would wash the dirt off. Yeah,
Okay, then you
just rinse
throw
it.
it in a pot for 10 minutes on high
Well, I
with
mean,
water.
so we're just talking about the root right now.
Oh,
So
wait, you don't
you're
put
gonna
that whole
chop.
flower in
No,
it.
no,
Just chop
because
the
the
root off.
flowers can't be cooked that long
Where's the
because
root start and stop? It's the stuff that was underground?
yeah,
Okay,
that's the root.
that's
Yeah.
the root.
Yep.
I'm helping you guys by asking all the dumb. I can be the dumb person.
But yeah, the dandelion greens are really nourishing. You can have the greens in your
That's
salad, even.
above the
Mhm.
ground. Okay.
And you can make teas with the above ground parts, the flower and the leaves and the stem. You can make a tea with that, which is more like an infusion. And we're gonna have a class
I
all
think we
on the
need to.
difference between a decoction and an infusion because
Yes.
with roots and berries, you want to do a decoction, which is, simmering it. Like let's say we're making elderberry syrup. So we take
Mhm.
these berries.
And we
So
find elderberries where? I don't have
um
them in Utah.
oh, you can't grow them in Utah?
Oh, you grow yours.
You can grow them, but I mean, the farm in North Carolina has them all over.
Okay.
Western North Carolina has them all
They
over,
grow
but
wild.
they grow wild.
Oh.
But you can grow them anywhere. They're really easy to grow. In fact, I'm gonna plant some here in Florida.
We should document that for everyone. Because
Yeah,
I could grow them in my house, like a little
in your
plant
house.
or like a greenhouse.
I think a greenhouse. Yeah, I
Okay.
think they
I'm gonna
definitely
grow
need like good.
elderberries. Because
Yes,
elderberry syrup, I know, sells out like crazy during cold and flu season.
definitely. And what I do with my elderberry, I take the berries. Sometimes they're just dried berries. If you don't
Mm.
have an elderberry tree, you can buy dried organic berries in bulk.
Mm.
And then you would put them in the water. You would lightly boil. It's kind of like a simmer until the water goes down by a third.
Mm.
And then it's strong enough. And then after that, you can strain the berries out. So that would be like about 45 minutes
And
for
straight
a
up
root
drink
or a
it.
berry.
And just,
Well, for after that, if you're going to actually, you can drink that. Or if you want to make elderberry syrup, you're going to then strain the berries out and add honey to it.
oh yeah, we need recipes. This lady will tell me a recipe and just like that. And I'm like, I need like write it down and like, a tablespoon and how long. And yeah.
I'm just like, throw a little bit in of
Yeah,
this.
she's
I'm
like, a pinch of this, a pinch of that. I'm like, wait, how much is a pinch?
And also when you make elderberry syrup, when you do it yourself, you can add anything you want with it. You can add a little turmeric root in there with the berries. You can add a little ginger. You can add some cumin, some
I would
cinnamon,
need you to
whatever
tell
you
me
like.
what
Yeah.
need to add.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. Okay, I love it.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's dandelion. Another one of my favorite teas to consume that's really nourishing for the liver would be burdock root.
Mm.
Burdock root, you can actually buy it in a capsule, and we have a handout that goes with this class. So it'll give you a really good brand if you want to buy some organic burdock root
I'm
and
on
just take
burdock
capsules.
root. She put me on burdock
Yeah.
root.
It's incredible. But you can also decoct it. That's the
That
light
word again,
boil.
yeah,
It's a
light boil.
great word. It's a great word. I love that word.
Yeah.
So burdock root, not only I just did a bunch of research on how it's being used to support with a healthy response to inflammation. So basically, if you have a lot of inflammation in the body, burdock root can decrease that inflammation. So
Mm.
it's amazing. Very supportive of the liver. Great to take every day. And then another one of my favorites would be milk thistle.
Oh,
Milk
yeah.
thistle seed extract.
I've heard of that.
Milk thistle are these beautiful purple flowers, very, very prickly if you touch them. But the seed is what you use for the extract. And, it is so powerful that it can reverse fatty liver disease.
That's,
You know.
yeah, like fatal. So,
Totally. Like, I wish people knew that they could literally take milk thistle to normalize their liver enzymes. And, it's been reported that you can actually eat a poisonous mushroom and take milk thistle after and be fine. I mean, I don't recommend
Yeah.
that
but you
for
could.
you out. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this is amazing. Did you learn all this in herbalism school?
I did. I learned a lot in my first nutrition. I did a master's in nutrition, and it was holistic nutrition. So I took my first herb classes within that program
And that's
too.
when you were like, I love this.
Yeah,
and
I
you're
just
just
fell in
like,
love. I fell in love with
this is
this.
the
Yeah.
most knowledgeable person I've ever met about
Oh
herbs
gosh,
and flowers and all this healing stuff. So you guys are in the hands of an expert here.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let's talk about, mentioned the adrenals. I wanna make sure we talk about the adrenals and immunity.
Yes, and honestly, we have a full stress class, which we're gonna deep dive into the adrenals. But we'll talk a little bit about the adrenals and one of the hormones. I mean, the adrenals make a lot of different hormones, DHEA and progesterone and testosterone and our different
Mm.
sex hormones. But also, the adrenal glands make what's called cortisol. And cortisol is known as the stress hormone. It has gotten a really bad rap over the last 4 years because people are so stressed and everyone wants to take something that decreases their cortisol levels.
Mhm.
And that is true in a way, but cortisol is necessary for life, absolutely necessary. Our bodies follow a normal diurnal cortisol pattern, and it's highest in the morning. It's called the cortisol awakening response, and that gives you the energy to get out of bed in the morning. And it kind of ebbs and flows through the day. You have a dip in the mid afternoon, which is why some people might feel a little
Mm.
sleepy in the mid afternoon. And then it's generally lowest at 1 or 2 in the morning. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means in our sleep class,
Yes, I
and
remember,
we
yep.
definitely address that in our sleep class. But basically, cortisol is so important for immunity, energy, metabolism, thyroid health, also to mitigate inflammation in the body. And the problem isn't only when you have too high a cortisol levels. The problem can be when you have too low of cortisol
This is
levels.
fascinating. I've always just thought cortisol was bad, and now I'm hearing that, no, it's good.
It is necessary.
Everything is
It's
in
in
what? The yin and the
balance.
yang,
Yeah.
right? The balance,
Yeah, it's
moderation or whatever.
It's in balance, and, basically, when I was 27, I had just been I'm a type A personality, I'd been under so much stress, and I got really, really sick, and my adrenal glands were so shot that I went way low, like, I didn't have enough cortisol, and I was super healthy, fit. I couldn't walk up the stairs. That is the level of fatigue from having barely any cortisol in my system. I started having panic attacks everywhere. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Every time I went into the grocery store, I would have a panic attack when I got into the line. And it was very debilitating. The only way I could survive through it is if I had my baby with me.
Mm,
I'd pick up my baby, and then the maternal instinct would override
wow.
the panic. But it was very debilitating. And sometimes I'd have to run out of the store and leave my groceries. And it was very embarrassing. And
Is this before you learned about, like, because how did you ever get out of that?
well, yeah. So basically, I'll get into that in just 1 second. I wanted to also say that I had frequent respiratory infections during that time
Ah,
because my cortisol was so low that my immune system was shot, and I couldn't use antibiotics because I had already had a really bad reaction to Zithromax. So
and
I
a respiratory infection, is that just pneumonia or what?
it could be a bronchitis, a
Mm,
pneumonia, yeah, something like that. So
just like,
basically, at that point, I had just started diving into herbs. I didn't
mm.
fully trust herbs,
No,
honestly.
I never
I
even,
I
I thought
was
it was
Yeah,
hocus
yeah,
pocus.
I was a little worried, I was a little scared, and honestly, I did a deep dive into the adrenal glands, adrenal fatigue, cortisol, and then I did a deep dive into adaptogenic herbs.
Mm.
And that is so that this was 21 years ago.
21 years?
21 years ago, and I
Wow,
have to say that ashwagandha saved my life, truly.
truly.
Um, Along with some other adaptogenic herbs, and I'm gonna go into some of these, but basically, adaptogenic herbs are really, really amazing because they're kind of like a thermostat in the body. They're really intelligent, and it's so different from a pharmaceutical pill that you take to kind of
Mhm.
mitigate some kind of symptom. Adaptogenic herbs really just know how to keep the body in balance. So if the thermostat senses that the temperature is too high, it's going to lower the temperature.
Mhm.
If the temperature is too low, it's going to raise the temperature. And that's what adaptogenic herbs do.
They're aptly named then, adapt,
Yeah, adapt.
yeah,
They
I
help
like
your
that.
body
Mhm.
also adapt to stress.
Okay.
And so ashwagandha, for instance, will not only support immunity, healthy inflammation, it'll give you energy during the day, help you sleep at night, help with libido, help with focus, help with mood,
Yeah.
and testosterone levels and thyroid. And it's like, wow, how can something
Everybody should be on that.
Totally. I mean, how can something help you have energy during the day, but help you sleep at night?
Because it's a
And
thermostat.
it's all about the balance. And the thing about adaptogens is that they don't necessarily work immediately. Adaptogenic herbs, you really need to take more longer term for a couple months.
I felt that. I mean, maybe
You
it's
felt it instantly.
she
Yeah.
did a custom consult for me, and so she gave me a whole plethora of things that I needed. So maybe it was all of them in combination. I'm sure it was all of them in combination, but the ashwagandha was a part of it.
Yeah, and you might feel it instantly, but I always like to tell people like wait 2 to 4 weeks, stay on the adaptogenic regimen for 3 months, then you could take a little break and then kind of get back on. Just depends on what's going on in your
Yeah.
life, what your stress level is, what you're exposed to, and we'll deep dive into all that in our stress class.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Um a couple other things I wanted to mention in supporting the adrenal glands. Um Potassium, sodium. Sodium is necessary for the adrenal glands. In fact, there are some people who will go on a super low sodium diet and they'll actually go into kind of like adrenal fatigue
Wow.
and severe fatigue. And, when I was in my adrenal fatigue back when I was 27, I craved sodium in such a big way. I had to eat so much sodium. And at that time, I didn't really understand the mechanism of
I
action.
know.
I just like was listening to my body. And super just amazing. Vitamin C is the adrenal vitamin. There's something called the adrenal cocktail, which we'll actually put a recipe for that
Okay.
on here too.
I've
And
never had that, but it sounds amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So you can use some coconut water, which is really high in potassium, or you
Okay.
can use cream of tartar, which is a source of potassium. Um, whole food vitamin C, which could be from fresh squeezed oranges.
Mm.
And then you're gonna add salt to it and maybe some magnesium, and it's very energizing, and you can drink that in the morning and the afternoon, and you're just nourishing your adrenals.
Love it. Okay. Get that on the website.
Totally, yeah. Another thing that I just wanted to mention that is magnesium. So when we're under a lot of stress, our magnesium burn rate increases.
Mm.
And magnesium is one of those amazing minerals that might even be needed for like 4,000 different enzymatic functions in the body.
Yeah.
Um, so minerals serve as cofactors.
Mm.
And magnesium is so important. I find that most people are magnesium deficient, especially if you live in the United States and you're under stress and our soils are depleted for the most part.
Mhm.
So, magnesium is something really great to supplement for if you're wanting to mitigate stress in your life, soothe your nervous system, but also support your adrenal glands and your immunity.
Well, there's so many forms of magnesium. I worked in the nutraceutical space and we had over 70 brands with 4,000 SKUs, so many magnesiums. And I always thought, and I saw magnesium was our bestseller, number one seller. So that makes sense now. But I was always like, how do you know if you want threonate or bisglycinate or glycinate? Or I probably missed half of them, but I was like, there's so many different ones.
Totally. There's actually there's a lot of supplements now that are like 7 different forms of magnesium in one.
Wow.
And I don't think that's necessary. Some of the forms of magnesium aren't as healthy for you.
Yeah.
Some of them are formed from GMOs. Some of them will cause loose stools, and we're not taking magnesium because we want to go to the bathroom. We're
Probably
taking magnesium because we want to support our cellular health.
not.
So I love magnesium glycinate. I love bisglycinate. Those are really my favorite too. Threonate is great. There's a lot of clinicals around brain health and threonate, but I think that glycinate is just fine. Threonate is really, really expensive.
Mhm.
So I think that glycinate is just a really great overall, well-tolerated, effective type.
Cool. Well, good to know. And I love just when you recommend the brands, because that's the other thing. There's so many different brands, especially on Amazon. I never knew which ones to get or which ones to trust. So I like when you just send me the link.
And we will do that in the handout for
Oh,
this class.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Adrenals. What about mitochondrial health? I know that's something you had mentioned before.
Yeah, so mitochondria are these little organelles that are basically the powerhouse of our cells, and they create ATP, which is energy. And we need energy.
Mhm.
Everything that happens in our body, every single cell in our body has to be able to create energy.
Got it.
So some cells need to create more energy. Some cells have more mitochondria, like the heart cells have more than maybe, another organ in the body.
Okay.
So basically keeping our mitochondria healthy. One of the things that we can do every day is consume magnesium.
Oh.
Because magnesium is part of the electron transport chain, which it happens within the mitochondrial membrane, which actually creates energy.
I do remember mitochondria from biology and
Yeah.
ATP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and we'll just leave it as simple as just energy. So magnesium is needed to create cellular energy. There's a couple other herbs that I'll mention in the handout that are really good to create energy, which would be Panax ginseng. That's a really, really great energizing herb, good for your mitochondria health. Gynostemma, cordyceps, which is actually a mushroom. Yeah, Cordyceps sinensis is this mushroom that's called the caterpillar mushroom because the spores would form in like the caterpillar's head, and then the mushroom would shoot out from the caterpillar.
No.
And these were very sought after mushrooms
Imagine.
in China. And now we have Cordyceps militaris, which has the same properties as Cordyceps sinensis, but it does not involve caterpillars.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is awesome. So we can get the same benefits from taking Cordyceps militaris versus the
Okay,
sinensis.
and this all ties into the immune system because energy, like bring it all home for me
Yes, it's creating energy, and we need energy
to stay healthy.
to stay healthy and to really form the different immune cells, the different immune proteins, even to have like a healthy level of inflammation because we need inflammation in the body.
I thought inflammation was bad.
We need a certain amount of inflammation in
Oh,
the
like
body.
that
It's
balance again.
necessary
Okay.
for the immune response.
Okay.
Even if you think about thyroid, if you have low thyroid, then you're just going to be low energy in your
Mhm.
body. And most people who have low thyroid have a lot of frequent illnesses just
Yeah.
because the cellular energy in their body is just low.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I did want to mention, I also wanted to mention again, vitamin A, really crucial for the mitochondria. Copper, super important. A lot of you out there who are taking really high levels of zinc because you want to keep your zinc levels high to keep certain viruses away or out of the cells. You might be having a copper deficiency now because if you take zinc without copper, then you can create a copper deficiency. Copper is really important for energy, for immunity, for collagen synthesis, for skin health, really, really
Yeah.
important for skin health, and even for histamine. I have a friend who just started developing terrible allergies, and I was like, "Hey, have you been taking a lot of zinc without copper?" And she said, "Yes." She started taking 2 milligrams of copper a day.
I mean, she took 2 copper. Okay.
No, she was taking too much zinc before.
Yes.
Without the copper,
Okay.
and then I just had her start taking copper. Literally within a day, her histamine response was
Amazing.
normalized. Yeah.
I imagine there's a lot of that going on because with COVID, everyone bought zinc.
Yes.
Zinc, 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 zinc.
Yeah.
That's pro tip right there.
Pro tip, yeah. Lastly is just a really fun ingredient called shilajit.
Shilajit. Sounds really fun. I'd invite
Shilajit.
her to my party.
Shilajit is basically it's decomposed plant and animal matter. It comes you'll maybe find it under volcanic resin in high mountain elevations, and it's loaded with really special antioxidants, really all such high amounts of minerals, also has a lot of copper,
Yeah.
fulvic and humic acid. And Shilajit, there's tons of studies out there on mitochondrial health, heart health,
I'm
bone
not
health.
on that
Yeah.
one. I need to get on that.
I mean, I wanted to take it easy on you. I don't want to put you on everything, but
Give me the Shilajit.
Shilajit tastes terrible.
Oh, that's terrible.
There are some brands out there where you can take a capsule of a
Okay,
Shilajit.
that's what I would put
Yeah,
into.
and one of the great brands is one of the great Shilajits I like to work with is called Primavi. Yeah, it's got a ton of clinicals around it. The clinical dose is 500 milligrams a day. You can find it in different brands on the market.
Will we put
And
this in our handout?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's special water extracted technology, and it's also triple purified, so you're not going to be getting any heavy metals.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. Yeah, just tell me which one to take again.
I will.
I don't want the one that has all the contaminants. So, are there any other supplements you wanted to maybe touch on that are going to be in the handout?
Definitely. So things that I like to do is I love tea. I love tea.
She had me drink my
Yeah.
first tea this morning. I feel
So
so English.
so and I'm not talking about caffeinated tea. I mean, you can drink green tea, make sure it's organic. But green tea does have a lot of great antioxidants that will promote healthy immune system. But I love to drink teas on a daily basis like calendula and hibiscus and Tulsi, which is holy basil, peppermint, ginger, licorice root, just kind of on a daily basis. And it definitely keeps these teas will definitely keep your immune system strong.
Wow,
I like to
that's
have
cool.
teas a couple times a day in the summertime. It's really amazing because I would just pick some holy basil and some peppermint and some calendula, and I'll pick all of those from my farm.
Mm.
And then I would just leave it out. I would put it in a big jug, like a half a gallon glass jug, fill it with water and leave it in the sun. And then you have sun tea.
Yeah, and then do you drink tea cold, right? Because I liked it not hot as well
Totally, you can drink tea any way you want. I mean, there's some teas I prefer hot.
because it tastes better.
It's just a preference. Like whenever I'm drinking ginger tea, I like it to be hot.
Hmm.
But when I'm drinking hibiscus tea, I kind of like it to be cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like cold.
Yeah. So
I'm a cold tea drinker.
all these things can support immunity. Fire cider.
Yeah, that's on the
Yeah,
website.
we have a recipe on the website. Really great, like apple cider vinegar with garlic and turmeric and ginger and onion and peppers and all the good things. And you infuse for 4 weeks, and then you can take, a little shot every day. You can take this before you eat your meals because that will help promote hydrochloric acid levels
Got
in your
it.
body. So apple cider vinegar is amazing to improve hydrochloric acid levels.
Yeah.
Not only to keep your immune system strong. If you're sick, you might want to do it a couple more times than just once. Um, of course, eat raw garlic as much as you want. We're gonna have a
Fermented garlic.
fermented
I'm gonna
garlic and
get
a
it.
honey garlic recipe on the website. And then mushrooms. I love making. So I don't know how many out there love coffee. I was never a coffee person, but I do like to have one latte a day and I make it myself. So I use organic coffee and I like to steam either raw goat's milk or whatever I have.
Yeah.
But on the farm, I was always doing raw goat's milk because we were milking the goats. And most farmers markets sell raw goat's milk. So you can add this, you can make a latte out of it. But I always make medicine with my coffee because then it makes me feel better. So I'll
Mm.
add like a gram of reishi into my coffee. I'll add a gram of cordyceps. Add a gram of lion's mane. And then you know that you're getting like really good immune support, adrenal support, and also brain support in your coffee. And then basically that will decrease the sympathetic response that is released when you consume a cup of coffee.
No, that's really smart. Yeah, I don't drink coffee, but I just popped those pills that she just mentioned. They were great.
Oh, but I could make you a coffee. You would love
Really?
it
Oh,
so much.
I will
Oh,
because I didn't think I'd like tea, and I drank it. So
would you drink a cup of coffee with
why
caffeine?
not? I've never had
Yeah.
caffeine.
She's never had caffeine in
No.
her life.
Oh,
I would
I'll
love to be the first one to give her caffeine. No, I shouldn't really be promoting caffeine. But again, it's everything in balance because, coffee, like if you make it into a medicine, I also will add collagen to it or bone broth powder, which adds some protein to your coffee. I make sure to have coffee on a full stomach because then it kind of mitigates that stress response from the coffee. So I think that coffee can be medicine too.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people are really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that we just went through the supplements. Now, I'm starting to feel sick. What should I do?
Okay. So I think about support during the cold and flu season.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, it's both it's like prophylactic or preventative, or it's like you might start to feel like a little bit of a scratchy throat, or maybe you're traveling, or maybe you haven't slept for 4 nights because
Or like your kids are sick
or your
in the
kids
house.
are sick, or
or your
yeah,
spouse.
somebody, yep. Or you're sick.
Okay,
You're sick.
you're already sick.
It's better when you're using herbs. It is better to take them before you're full on sick. They work
Gotcha.
better.
They
So
work better.
yeah, so I like to, and this is all going to be in the handout, but I've got some superpower supplements, andrographis, astragalus root, olive leaf. Those are 3 supplements that you can take as a tincture or you can buy a capsule. I kind of like to take them throughout the cold and flu season. Not necessarily every day, but I like to have them handy and they might be part of my daily regimen,
Right.
you know?
And that's a prophylactic measure.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just
So,
wanted to use that word.
yeah, that's a great word. So, these things are totally fine to use long term. You can take them long term. There's some herbs that you don't want to take long term,
Is that
so
in the handout? So I
that
don't take the wrong
hi.
ones long term,
Hi.
I don't want to be taking the wrong ones long term.
Yes, so basically, okay, well, let me start with ashwagandha, my favorite of the adaptogens that's going to keep your body balanced, healthy response to inflammation, healthy immune system. So I like to take ashwagandha throughout the cold and flu season. Andrographis is amazing for respiratory health and really to treat any type of infections. People actually use andrographis high doses to treat Lyme disease
Hmm.
and also to treat even STDs. So andrographis, even H. pylori or different infections
Mm-hmm.
in the digestive tract. So andrographis is super powerful. Astragalus root works really well with andrographis. It is amazing for the respiratory system, but it's also an adaptogen, so it can easily be taken long term. We have in this handout, we have the best brands that you can use for these. Olive leaf extract is just basically the leaf from the olive tree and it's extracted. It's a really high in antioxidants, really great for the heart, but great for having a healthy inflammatory response and really great for the immune system as well. So those are some just overall, like you can take
Love
them every
it.
day if you want. There's certain things I might keep around if I get sick,
Okay.
like golden seal and echinacea.
Oh, yes. I've heard of
10
those.
days, 10 days, 14 days max. And then you want to take a little bit of time off. Oregano oil, which
Mhm.
technically, theoretically could be taken every day, but I do think it can kill some of the good microbiome because oregano is actually one of those great things that can be used to treat gut imbalances, and it can kill yeast, but it can
Mm.
sometimes kill some of the beneficial yeast and bacteria. So I don't like to do like oregano oil all year round, but I definitely
It's
have
like
that
the
around like
H-bomb.
totally. Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you have a sore throat, if you have a cough, these are great things to add. Stomach aches, we've got ginger root tea, which is really great for the stomach. Grapefruit seed extract.
Mm.
One little tablet of a grapefruit seed extract can literally stop a stomach ache immediately.
Oh.
It's amazing. And when my kids were little, it was something I always kept in
Uh,
the cupboard, and it is miraculous. Grapefruit seed extract is also one of those things that I would use to help with candida. So, because it does promote a healthy microbiome.
okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get that. We should put together a handout of like, get these top 10 things in your cupboard now or
But to
something.
have all the time.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and then there's some really great things you can use for a fever, and these
Mm.
are considered diaphoretic herbs, which help like you perspire actually, and so can help decrease a fever. Like echinacea is a really good
Yeah.
one. Yarrow is a really good one.
Okay.
Elderberry flower, so elder
Oh,
flower, and these are in the handouts. It is important to remember that fevers do serve a purpose,
yeah. I
but
always just starve of fever, feed a cold or something like that. My mom would always
totally,
say.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. I know it's just you don't want to see your kids suffering, from a fever. So I think these diaphoretic herbs are great because I don't know about you, but anytime I actually truly sweat out a fever, I actually feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had a fever for a long
Oh,
time. Yeah.
yeah, I never get fevers,
I
but
doubt she ever gets sick.
no, I can literally eat off of people's spoons, kiss
Yeah.
someone, whatever, and I won't get sick. But if I feel the little twinge in my throat,
You're
I know I'm like instantly get everything out. And my kids are like that too. Like they're like, well, I might feel like non-specifically, and I'm giving them like a handful of everything and teas and tinctures. Um, yeah, and I do want to mention that you can take these herbs in any form. So like I like to do a combination of teas, decoctions, syrups, tinctures, and capsules.
I
And
just be
it
popping pills for you.
yeah, well, yeah, and she likes
But
that.
no, it's because I don't know how to do these things, but she's gonna teach us.
Totally, and some people prefer just taking pills and having it be done with. I love the way a good cup of tea makes me feel. Yeah, I mean, I just love the way a cup of tea makes me feel, and I think it's probably the warm mixed with the herbal goodness. But I do wanna mention tinctures. Tinctures, if they're alcohol-based,
Mhm.
The benefit of a tincture is number one, they'll last forever.
Okay.
Unless they're glycerin based, and glycerin can go bad a little bit sooner, but alcohol based, the benefit of an based tincture is that you absorb the herbs through your stomach lining,
Hmm.
and you bypass the rest of the digestive tract to actually absorb the herbs.
Can you teach us how to make tinctures?
I totally
Okay.
can. It's so easy, so easy and really fun and rewarding making tinctures. So I kind of like to use a combination, and sometimes I like to use capsules too. So in the handout that you'll get all of this information. What are the best brands? What are different teas you can make? Different things that you can make and take throughout the cold and flu season, or just all the time to stay healthy, like, you know, honey infused garlic or fire cider or
Oh,
elderberry syrup, or, all of this will be in the handout. And I feel like you'll find it really valuable.
I definitely think so. And I think we should start a tincture Tuesday where she teaches us how to make the tincture on Tuesday.
I love that.
Or a tea Tuesday.
Oh,
We could do
tea
any teas or
tinctures. Yeah.
tinctures. I mean, I need to learn how to make these things.
Yeah.
I have no skills.
Tincture Tuesday, maybe the first Tuesday of every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Shania, holy cow. I learned so much about immunity today. I'm super pumped to get the downloads, and I'm going to you just tell me what to order. She's already got me on stuff, so I'll just fill in the holes. But I can just testify, guys. This lady can make you whole. So order your supplements, get started. And if you think that you need a little more hand holding, we're here. You can go onto the homepage. You can find the consultation. You can actually get a private meeting with Shania where she can look at your specific situation and give you a custom protocol like she did for me. And even if you don't want that, you can just use the handouts. They'll be efficacious. So we're super excited. Anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Join our class on
To join our
immunity.
class. Yeah. And, I do just want to mention that, the body has this innate ability to heal when given the right tools. All we have to do is stay in balance.
100%.
Yeah.
So, guys, join our other classes. We're super excited. I'll keep bringing her back because I know I have so much still to learn. So, see you later.
Bye.